Hey, it's been a while since I made my last video. You might be wondering what happened. I've been at least decently active on YouTube and then suddenly I don't post anything anymore. Only a couple of community posts, but even that, not regularly. Let me tell you something. I'm working something big now. In case you haven't heard it in a previous video of mine already, I am in an object show team now, so I'm highly invested in it. And also you're going to hear a little from me for the next few weeks as well, because I also need to manage the last month of school, plus the final exams after it. So you won't hear too much from me, but I will let you know that I'm okay. Because with me, you never know. I would like to mention a few things that happened since the last time I made like a tamp or an update video or whatever. Because my past few videos have only been like music. So let me tell you something. First and foremost, on February 10th, I was supposed to be sent back to my parents because this youth welfare institution apparently insisted that my parents were the right place to go. And I insisted that it wasn't because I didn't feel right there. And let's just say I had a crash out, a total crash out. And I had to be sent to a clinic for a single night. And from there, the same institution, but located in a different administrative zone in Germany, called me and told me that they disagreed with what was said in the previous place, and thus I would be sent to a social facility and get help for the social system long term. This was a very lucky moment for me. That was the next day, February 11th, and I came to a random rural town in the middle of nowhere. And the other reason that I post little now is that A, I probably don't have the time. B, even if I am focusing on other things as well. And C, I don't have 24/7 internet connection here. So you have to live with it, and so do I. I really hope to make a lot of videos, and then suddenly the next thing that happened was in the night, like late in the day on February 10th, a lot of my stuff was taken away from me by the clinic I was in for security reasons, which is highly understandable. The kind of people who are in the clinic are like people who are close to committing suicide and stuff like that, so they had to take away from me a lot. The problem is that my parents had insisted that if they wouldn't get me back, then they would get my stuff back. But it's my stuff. They are literal thieves. And the worst of all, the clinic actually gave them the stuff. Because by law they have to, if the parents want to. But, I mean, look, the case was obvious. And sometimes you just have to not care about laws, but about being reasonable with what you do. because and recently this has shown me just how demoralizing laws are. This legal system, it doesn't work anymore. It makes people act in terrible ways because, yeah, we're not responsible for this and we have to do this and that by law and so on, without really looking at what the situation is. Not law, but ethics. For me, it's this simple. And I mean, this update video is kind of like a tamp a bit, but trust me, my update videos are going to be very different now because a lot of things have changed. When I lacked all the things that I was taken away, that were taken away from me, I realized just how much my identity depended on what I did and not in who I was. And it also depended a lot on what I had, which is not healthy at all. I've already explained that before, I think, in a video, in the tamp. And I also, let me just put it this way. A lot of memories came back that are life-changing for me, because they made me realize that I used to fall for toxicity patterns as well. Yeah, you heard me right. I had a time where I used to be toxic. And my mind just forgot about it for years and years on end. I'm speaking of the ages 9 to 11. I think you remember that I've mentioned that in that age range, I was bullied particularly much and particularly intensively. But I only ever saw what the other people did wrong. And I completely forgot about what I did wrong. Yes, I did a lot of things wrong there as well, but also wasn't quite my fault, because it was what I've learned from my parents and my siblings. I've copied their patterns and hoped that it would work. And it didn't. Of course it didn't, because these patterns are just unhealthy. And dealing with the fact that I haven't always been a good person, that's really hard, honestly. I didn't expect it to be this hard because I thought that I was really far in my on my awareness journey. No, apparently not. Apparently, even 2 years are not enough to fully realize the damage that was caused within the 17 years in which I've lived with my parents. It's a harsh truth that I haven't always been a good person. I mean, I'm a good person now, but now the fear is coming that I might return to these patterns, and I don't want to. And now that I remember, I realize that I'm starting to absorb a bit of that, but only realize when it's already deeply ingrained. It's like knowing that the water in front of you is filled with poison, but eventually you're just too thirsty to resist. It feels a bit like that. Another realization I've had is that my childhood was not at all what I thought it was, and that I have a serious identity issue. I have no real culture, I have no self-image, I don't even know what my personality is. I know nothing. And the worst thing is, even the most basic things, such as my gender or whether I am even human, suddenly become questionable. Because as you might know already, when I turned 15, briefly after that, I started having mental health issues, starting in November, and I've had I've started to question everything, absolutely everything. I question absolutely everything to get to ground truth. I have to do the same for my identity now as well. And what I've concluded is that I am nothing more but me. But what is me? What even is that? And honestly, I don't know. I don't even know myself. And that's another harsh truth. And it struck me really hard. So, yeah, I don't really know what to do about this identity issue. I don't really know. There's also a lot more trauma connected to things than I thought. I've had a hard time putting any effort into any school thing whatsoever because my mind thinks it's school, don't do it. And I mean, honestly, now in the last semester of school ever, I've told myself not to care about the grades anymore because it was ruining me. It was ruining my motivation to do anything. It was ruining my mental health and my self-worth and my confidence and everything. Because I've realized what my parents did to me. And I will no longer weaken my words. They have indoctrinated me. Straight up. Yeah, that's what they did. They had their doctrine and they did everything they could, successfully unfortunately, to pour it into me. And I wonder what about what I'm like, what I do, what I have, and so on, what of that is mine, and what is really just by my parents and my siblings and the people who bullied me and whoever. What is truly mine? This is and yet another existential question. About as existential as what is happening to my body recently. You know, this back part of the body where the excrement come out. I don't want to be censored on YouTube. That's why I'm describing it, not mentioning the word, in case you're wondering. And in that part of the body, it started to bleed at regular, roughly monthly intervals. It does only happen once I start cleaning it, but even still, it's a bit weird. And it feels a bit like it's, I don't know, menstruation or something. But I'm obviously biologically male, so I don't really know what's happening. Are my hormones now completely off? Did my body just switch that gender all of a sudden? I don't know. I don't know what's even happening with me anymore. I mean, not that I ever cared about gender, because for me that's just a social construct, but apart from the biology. But yeah, also I did realize that there are like natural tendencies depending on the hormones, because that's just how it works. I wonder what gender differences are biological and which ones are just social constructs. I wonder where the border is between the two and what belongs where. I don't even know. Sometimes I don't even know what words truly mean, because so many definitions are just biased by my family beliefs. And I don't know how to detect them, because some of them are so fundamental that you can't really catch them unless you're directly called out by someone, which happens to me too rarely, honestly. It doesn't happen often enough that I'm called out. I've also noticed that I have a hard time asking for help, because I have this mindset of helping myself and doing it myself and everything. The only reason I'm like this is that I couldn't rely on other people for help, because these other people, namely my family and such, they weren't there to help me. They weren't interested. They didn't care about me. Or maybe they even unhelped me, so to speak. Made everything worse. So that's why I have a hard time with that now. I also have a really hard time just, I don't know, working productively and just, I don't know what's going on with me. I feel like I have a new depressive phase again, and it's not even close to the first time. You know it, in case you've watched my other tamps before. Another thing is that one day my French teacher came to me and has heard of my issues with my parents and that I moved out and such. And she asked me whether they had proper integration into Germany, and I said no. And then she called me out, saying that maybe that's why I have no culture. That she's noticed that I'm like stuck in a void with no social structure whatsoever. And yes, I realized that I've barely ever even asked myself questions regarding my culture and what is, and the thing is, I realized that I have no culture. I have nothing. On New Year's, for New Year's, every year I used to eat 12 grapes, like that's a Spanish tradition. When I did it, being outside of my parents' house, that tradition felt empty. I didn't feel anything as I was doing it. Like, yeah, I guess I did it. I guess. And there was nothing more. I felt nothing. I also felt nothing when I did anything else that used to be highly celebrated where I used to be. Everything feels empty now, because there is no one to share it with. I have nothing to share with anyone when it comes to celebrating or anything, because the friends I have, they're just too busy. And I think they'll be for the rest of their lives because they have lives of their own. How am I ever going to find someone to properly socialize with, like in an actual way? Someone who, I know, you spend the best moments with. Because right now, I only have friends to help me out of my misery, but none to lift me up directly to not only survive but also be alive for a moment. I don't have anyone like that. And I won't blame the people I'm with, by the way, because they are busy. They're all just too busy to help me in that manner. They do keep me afloat, but they can't do anything else because they don't have the time, they don't have the energy, and sometimes they don't even know how to do it, which I understand. But I can't do that myself because I need someone to share it with. Someone to eat a special meal with, or someone to celebrate my best moments with. Like, just being alive, this kind of community, this sense of community doesn't exist for me. It never existed because of how fake the communities I used to be in were. And my mind insists that all communities are bad because community equals fakeness. Because it's the only thing I've ever seen. I know it's wrong, like mentally, cognitively, but emotionally, it seems not to sink yet. That it doesn't apply to all cases. And this is the annoying thing. That is the annoying thing about being stuck knowing nothing. And you're going to be shocked when you hear the lyrics and the phrases I'm going to pull out in the object show I'm in, by the way. You're going to be shocked because that's basically me and my experience in my life, and I pour it into it because I need to let it out somehow and share it with someone somehow, because in real life, everyone's just too busy with their own lives to be with me and spend time with me and just be patient with me. There is no one out there who truly can help me because they have lives of their own. And I think this is a social problem. This is a problem of society right now, that everyone's just too busy to ever care about anyone. Yeah, I'm going to think just like that. It's like, yeah, no, sorry, I have to study for an exam. Yeah, no, I have to do this and that. And sorry, I'm going to spend time with my family, and so on, so on, and so forth. They're all just too busy doing their own things. And I mean, yes, they have the freedom to decide when to do what, in theory. But so much of the time that they could spend helping other people and being with them and being in community and being fulfilled by being surrounded by people, by the right people, by the way. Most of the time is just not there due to our obligations, because there's so many obligations, too many, so many more than necessary. And oftentimes, and I've heard this phrase before in from therapy, is it really the patient who's insane? Or is it the therapist for diagnosing said person, who has simply adapted to an environment that's not great? How can you expect a person to be good psychologically if they're not in the right environment? It's what I said before on my channel. Not diagnose, but understand. This is the main shift we need in psychology now. We need in all therapies and psychiatric institutions and everything, we need the shift now. We need to address the core problem instead of just putting a band-aid on top of it, saying, yeah, you are like this and that. Yeah, good luck with that, by the way, and spend the rest of your life with it. No, this can't be the approach. And yeah, sometimes I do wonder how my family is living now without me, but honestly, I don't care. And I mean, yeah, of course, I have these thoughts now and then. Because, yeah, you're just wondering, like, oh yeah, well, what's up with them? But I don't care. I've realized just how natural it is to live on my own. For me, it's just so natural. I should have done this years ago. I mean, now it's not too late, but the damage is much greater now. And I don't know whether I will ever recover from this. Maybe even a lifetime isn't enough to heal from what I've experienced. And sometimes I don't really know who I am. What about me is me, truly? What does it even mean to be me? Like, this is excuse me. That's this existential question. What is me? What does it mean to be me? And what is really someone else inside of me? And honestly, I still feel this urge to be special in some way. Because I feel like if I'm not special, then why am I even here? And I don't know. Is there anything particularly special about me? Like, I'm just a guy who suffered his entire life and there's nothing much more I can say. The problem is that my whole perception revolves around this pain and around the fear of being hurt again. My entire perception is based around it, and this is the problem, the core problem. And yeah, I also can't face the fact that, yeah, I need help from someone else. I need someone else to hold my hand and get me away from the spiral. I can't face it because every time I try to, the fear of being hurt comes back. And it prevents me from allowing myself to be helped. This is my main problem. And it's just frustrating. It's frustrating. Because I know I need help. I know what could help, who could help me, but I just can't get it. It feels like there's a wall between me and other people all the time. As if I was meant to be forever alone, lonely without ever being helped. As if I was meant to help myself. But I know this can't work forever. I know it. And I should know better and do better. And act accordingly. Act according to what I know. Instead of letting myself be driven by these emotions. And last but not least, it's very hard for me to be in the moment. Because my mind's constantly thinking and overthinking everything, and I'm stuck in my thoughts. I can't really experience anything. I can't just look at a sunset and think, and just look at it and just let it give me an impression. No, instead my mind's like, oh yeah, the sun sets, now what? And it's about to get night and stuff like that. My mind is filled with these thoughts. And the problem is I can't stop thinking. I can't turn it off, ever. And even when there are moments where I think nothing and only experience, it's scary. And my mind goes right back to filling me with thoughts. Because it's scary not to think and to just experience. Because my mind is such a survival animal that it insists that I have to be thinking about something all the time if I want to survive. And it's just ridiculous. It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense that my mind is making me so miserable. For what? Like seriously, for what? Why is my brain doing this to me? It makes no sense. And I can't even let my anger out. I can't let any emotion out for that matter. Because my mind's like, no, deal with yourself, fight it yourself. It's this do-it-yourself mentality. And I've also come to realize that this do-it-yourself mentality isn't always good. It's good in certain situations, but not always. Especially not when it comes to mental health, of all things. And yeah, like, why? Why is my mind doing this to me? I don't know. I don't really know what my mind wants. And yeah. And also, why do I constantly talk about my mind as if it was something separate from me? Aren't I just my thoughts, my mind? Well, of course not, obviously. It feels like, yeah, actually I can answer this question myself. There's this conscious me and this subconscious me. And my subconscious is constantly going against me for some reason. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. Yeah, I don't know. And I'll probably be stuck forever not knowing because I know how things go. And I just don't want to develop a doomerism mentality. As in, yeah, it's never going to be healed. It's never going to improve or something like that, and I'm going down. I'm trying to prevent that, but it won't be possible forever. And in fact, I might already be in that mindset without really being aware of it. And seriously, there is so many questions. So many questions unsolved and unresolved, and so many things I probably am still repressing, and it just all makes no sense. Why can't I just be alive, just express myself, just not listen to this fear? The urge to survive is really, it's killing me. And that's quite ironic. It's ironic that the very thing that's supposed to keep me alive is killing me from inside, step by step. Because while it may maintain me existing, it makes me undead. It takes me away the life from me. It takes me away what makes me human. It takes me away everything that ever meant anything to me. Knowing who I am, knowing what I want, and stuff like that. It's just gone. And I mean, yes, this might be kind of freedom, I guess, because now I don't care about anything whatsoever. But honestly, this kind of intake marks freedom is really just emptiness. It's emptiness in disguise. And it's taking me away so much that I really wish I had in my life. I just want to feel like I'm alive. Be fully in the moment. Just enjoy. Not care about literally every single thing. And not be this overthinker. Like, remember how I told you that I got into philosophy when I was 15? From school classes, and that was right when my mental health issues started, and it helped me. Well, it did help me to become aware of my issues, but it actually amplified one issue: my overthinking. Because now everything needs this explanation, and it's all just overly rational now. Everything seems to need some reason and justification. Why can't it just be? And why can't I just let it flow and be there and exist and just enjoy it? No. Everything needs its explanation, its rationalization, and so on and so on, thinks my mind. And that's dangerous. Yeah, so let me know what advice you have, because honestly, I don't know how to continue from here. So, I don't know. See you, I guess, and have a nice day.